I'm here to talk about radicalization into violence and how this little guy might be an unlikely solution. So please, bear with me. First, what is radicalization? Radicalization is when people develop an extreme view of the world, one that permits or even encourages violence. We often see this expressed as violent extremism, hate crime, misogyny, or even terrorism. My job is to inform and work with NGOs and governments who are trying to prevent this from happening. What I do is help them devise what to say, how to act to address this challenge. And the challenge is only growing. We live in a complex and volatile world, a world where we no longer trust those institutions that are there to protect and comfort us. Our trust in the media, politicians, governments, the police, faith leaders, even scientists, it's declining. Polling shows that our faith in democracy is at an all-time low. Even our trust in one another is declining. This is grim stuff. However, after years of research and practice, I am pleased to say that I have the solution: barbecue. Before I reveal how a good brisket can save the world, we need to break down how radicalization actually happens. Because radicalization is more than just disappointment and rage. It's the strong belief that the very fundamentals of society are broken and they cannot be repaired. Worse, you believe that there's an existential threat to your very being. The only way forward, the only way to survive, is through violence. It's the difference between disliking the result of an election and storming the Capitol. It's the difference between having hurt feelings after a rejection and taking a gun to a concert. So why do some people radicalize into violence? The assumption used to be that radicalization was a linear process. You'd be exposed to some evil ideology, get really angry, and then a charismatic villain would swoop in and whisk you away to a terrorist training camp. What we know now is that the process is much more complicated. People can radicalize into action, people can take action, without any sort of ideological underpinning to it. People can act without speaking to other extremists or ever having contact with a terrorist group. And people can act without anger, driven by dispassion, sadness, or even a terrifyingly misguided sense of altruism. There's no set sequence. We don't all fall the same way or take the same path down. However, research consistently shows one recurring moment: the presence of a single moment of uncertainty. This moment is often overlooked and sometimes subconscious, but it's a moment that shakes our view of the world and challenges everything that we assumed about it. So, for example, who here has ever been rejected? Who here has ever lost a job? Who here has had their favorite pub close down? Okay, here's the big one. Who here has ever felt disappointed by a Star Wars film? All of these are moments that have led people into radicalization. Because that moment of uncertainty, that can be anything that creates a sense of uncertainty. We as humans hate uncertainty. We're wired to seek patterns, to make sense of things. When something we believe in, something we rely on, is taken from us, it's devastating. When uncertainty strikes us, we stumble. But here's the thing. These moments happen to everyone and to all the time. We are all living in this crazy, uncertain, volatile world together. So the question isn't, why do some people radicalize? But why hasn't everyone? Well, the interesting thing is not the moment of uncertainty, but what happens next. Because when we're uncertain, when we don't have the answer, we go seeking answers. We search, we read, we scroll TikTok. Whatever we're doing, we're off looking for answers from other people. How are other people facing this challenge? What do the people I trust say about this? What do people like me do when they're facing a challenge like this? Now, ideally, we find people with good answers. They give us positive ways forward. They give us ways of dealing with our challenges. They show us ways to complain safely or even avenues of self-improvement. They might even find distractions. Never underestimate the therapeutic power of capybaras. But what happens if you're uncertain and you go seeking answers and you start looking in the wrong places? Or if you ask the wrong people? Or if you don't have anyone around you at all? A study by Ken Reedy revealed many of the young people that were flying out to join ISIS and many of the young people that were flying out to become aid workers were coming from the exact same neighborhoods. They had the same background. They were facing the same challenges. They were having very similar moments of uncertainty, but they were coming to radically different decisions. What we discovered was that when you are uncertain, when you're asking that question, who is it that you have around you? So the good news is, I was going to get to it eventually, the good news is we know what works. We know how to prevent radicalization into violence. It's about the people around you. It's about surrounding that moment of uncertainty. It's about someone to talk to. It's about time and space to talk. It's about the freedom to open up. It's about a sense of belonging, of feeling a sense of agency, participation, so you feel a sense of ownership, and even a sense of achievement, so you feel you can make a meaningful difference in the world. And critically, it's about all of that taking place in a non-securitized space. So you can ask questions, so you can participate, so you can challenge, so you can do things without feeling that you're being managed or monitored by those very same institutions that you distrust. Now, this is the gold standard. It has been proven through research and evidence from programs all over the world. We know what works. It ain't easy, but we know what works. There's just not enough of it. So what can we do? We want a time to talk. We want a place to talk. We want people to talk to. We want something participative. We want something rewarding. And we want something that's not securitized or political. Also helps if there's a low barrier to entry. And this is a barbecue. And barbecues have always been about bringing communities together. Food historians like Michael Twitty and Adrian Miller, they write about how barbecue arose from the Black experience in America. It's a way for a community to create time and space for itself, centered around the activity of low and slow cooking. During slavery, barbecues took place during the dead of night, meat cooked slowly and secretly over coals. And it was a way of creating social and religious gatherings, of taking back power, of claiming space for themselves under the most challenging of circumstances. And coming together around the fire, this is global, this is eternal. We have barbecue equivalents in Vietnam and Australia and South Africa and the Philippines and Mongolia. A recently translated 12th century Andalusian cookbook includes a recipe for a whole jointed lamb, sealed in clay, and then buried with hot coals for a whole day. And according to the manuscript, it's meant to be enjoyed with and prepared with friends and family. Now, personally, I work with Kansas City Barbecue. It is objectively the best. Maybe a tiny bit biased there. I'm aware that proposing barbecue as a solution to one of the world's problems is a little bit frivolous. Barbecues are exactly the size and scale of intervention that we need. Not as singular events, but as a practice that provides us all with the support that we require during uncertain times. A barbecue surrounds people with other people. It creates time and space for conversation while doing something rewarding. And the practice of barbecue is a commitment to creating and carving out these spaces for authentic, participative gathering, positive social mixing that bolsters us against uncertainty. And we need these barbecues. Because again, anyone can fall. And those institutions that we rely on to protect us, the police, governments, they can't surround us all the time. I'm not even sure we'd want that. Because they have limited resources, they have to focus on people who have already fallen into radicalization, people who are already committed to violence. They make sure that those that are seeking to cause harm can't succeed in their mission. And that work is critically important. But it's about mitigating the effects of radicalization. It's not about preventing it. Preventing radicalization, this means working in barbecue terms. It means working low and slow. It means not being high intensity and not overly targeted, but being always there, available, supportive, and present. And that's why we need barbecues. We also need football clubs. We need running clubs, we need knitting circles, we need Pokemon tournaments, we need Warhammer, we need choirs. We need all of these things. And building and maintaining these tiny, authentic, human communities, that's on us. I'm not absolving the big players of their responsibility here. They could still be doing much more in preventing radicalization into violence, and I hope they do. But this is about what works for us, what we can do for ourselves and for others. Because the solution to radicalization is not going to be found in vastly improved algorithms or in more surveillance. It's simpler than that, and a lot tastier. Because here's the truth. We all fall down. But when we do, we need to know that there's someone waiting for us, not with lectures or sermons or interrogations, but with a plate of beautifully smoked brisket and the time to talk. Thank you very much.